Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a really pivotal moment in an ancient text.
Yeah, focusing on Abram, right? And this incredible covenant.
Exactly. We're looking at Genesis, and it's just full of these surprising, almost, well, baffling details.
It really is.
You have this man, Abram. He gets this powerful vision from the Lord, but then he's immediately wrestling with fear, with very human concerns.
Right, despite the divine contact.
And then comes the promised offspring like the stars. Seems impossible for him at that point.
Utterly impossible from his perspective.
And as if that's not enough, we get this very, very specific ritual, cutting animals, a fiery thing passing through.
Very striking image.
So our mission today is to really dig into this story, pull out the key nuggets, what's happening, and what does it tell us about how ancient people understood covenants, promises, even prophecy.
And it's so foundational, isn't it? We're looking at a deep, deep commitment being forged here. The way it's done, the ceremony itself, it speaks volumes about the seriousness, the permanence intended.
Okay, so let's unpack it. The text says, "The word of the Lord comes to Abram in this vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward."
Powerful words.
Incredible reassurance, you'd think. But Abram's immediate response, it's all about being childless. He says, "Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? Eliezer of Damascus is set to inherit everything." So this very human fear popping up right after this divine promise, what does that tell us about Abram, about these kinds of stories?
Well, it's a really stark contrast, isn't it? You get this huge promise of protection, reward, but his reality, his lack of an heir that's front and center in his mind.
Yeah.
It just shows how deep that human need for continuity, for legacy runs. It grounds these grand divine encounters in very relatable anxiety.
Totally relatable. And the Lord's answer is direct. This man, meaning Eliezer, will not be your heir.
Right.
No, a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. And then comes this moment, taking you outside. Look up at the sky. Count the stars if you can.
Yeah, if indeed you can count them.
And the promise attached. So shall your offspring be. What's the impact of an image like that for someone who just said, I have no children?
Oh, it's meant to be overwhelming. Just mind-boggling, impossible to fully grasp, much like the promise itself feels at that moment.
Right.
And this idea of countless offspring, it's a massive theme that runs through these traditions. But what happens right after that vision is crucial.
Which is?
Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness.
Okay, so that phrase credited it to him as righteousness, just for believing this seemingly impossible thing. What does righteousness mean here? Is it about being morally perfect?
That's a great question. Here, righteousness isn't quite like a modern scorecard of good deeds or moral purity.
Okay.
It seems to be more about a fundamental alignment, a relationship based on trust. Abram's belief, his trusting response despite the odds, is seen as the right response in God's eyes.
So it's about the relationship, the trust.
Exactly. It establishes this connection built on, really, an act of radical faith. It kind of sets a new template for how humans relate to the divine in this narrative. It's foundational.
That makes sense. But Abram isn't done asking questions, is he? The Lord then says, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur to give you this land.
Another huge promise.
Right. And Abram immediately asks, Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain possession of it? It's like, okay, I believe the offspring part, but this land thing, I need something more concrete.
Yeah, like, show me. And the answer isn't just words. This is where that unique ritual comes in.
The animals.
Exactly. He's told, bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old.
So specific. 3 years old.
Along with a dove and a young pigeon.
Yeah. That specificity, it points towards known ancient practices for making serious agreements, for making covenants.
Yeah, the detail is amazing. So Abram gets these animals, cuts the big ones in half.
Right down the middle.
And arranges the pieces opposite each other. But the birds, he doesn't cut them. No, the text explicitly says he didn't cut the birds. That's interesting.
And then, as if it's not already intense, these birds of prey swoop down on the carcasses. Abram has to keep driving them away. What's going on there?
Well, the cutting in half, arranging the pieces, that's a hallmark of a specific kind of ancient covenant, sometimes called a cutting covenant.
Okay.
And it wasn't just symbolic solemnity. It was often a self-curse. The person passing between the pieces was essentially saying, may I be cut apart like these animals if I break this deal.
Wow. Okay, so it's incredibly serious. Binding.
Terrifyingly binding, yes. And the birds of prey. They could symbolize threats, maybe forces trying to disrupt or invalidate the covenant before it's even sealed, obstacles.
Then the atmosphere shifts again, sun setting. Abram falls into this deep sleep.
Yeah, not just sleep, but a thick and dreadful darkness comes over him.
Chilling. Just imagine that. A profound vision, then this intense, almost scary state. Why set the stage like that for the next revelation?
It definitely creates this sense of awe, maybe even dread. It underscores the gravity, the sheer weight of what's about to be revealed.
And what is revealed is, well, it's not all sunshine and roses, is it?
Not at all. While he's in this state, the Lord tells him, "Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own,
400 years.
and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there." Talk about a contrast to the earlier promises. It immediately weaves hardship into the long-term story.
So the path to fulfillment isn't direct. It's going to be tough.
Exactly. But the prophecy doesn't end there. It continues, "But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions."
Okay, so there's eventual liberation and prosperity.
Yes, and it also clarifies Abram's own fate. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age.
So personal peace for him, but long-term struggle for his descendants first.
Right. And there's another key detail about timing. In the 4th generation, your descendants will come back here. Why? For the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure.
That's fascinating. The timing is linked to the actions of the people already in the land.
It suggests a kind of divine patience or a specific timetable related to moral conditions.
And then comes the climax of the ritual. Sunset, it's dark.
Complete darkness.
And suddenly, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. What a visual! Fire moving between the animal halves.
That's the seal, the ultimate confirmation. The firepot and torch are often seen as symbols of the divine presence.
So God is passing through the pieces.
That's the implication. In many human covenants of this type, both parties might walk through. But here, it seems to be solely the divine presence passing through.
What does that signify?
It could signify that the Lord is taking the full weight of the covenant obligation upon himself. His commitment is absolute, guaranteed by his own passage through the pieces. It's a powerful statement of his faithfulness to the promise.
So on that day, the covenant is made.
Yes. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give this land, from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates."
And it lists them all out, doesn't it? The lands of all those peoples.
It does. Very specific boundaries and enumerates the inhabitants. The land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephates, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. A detailed grant.
Wow, what a journey we've just taken, stepping through that narrative from Abram's very relatable fears.
His childlessness, his need for assurance.
Through this incredibly intense, visceral covenant ceremony.
Yeah, the cut animals, the darkness, the fire.
So this sweeping prophecy that covers centuries. It's just packed with promise, but also, challenges.
And if you zoom out, think about the bigger picture. This isn't just about Abram personally. It's being presented as a foundational moment, setting things in motion for generations to come. That land grant is so specific. From Egypt's border river, the Wadi, all the way to the Euphrates.
Yeah.
And naming those 10 groups, it underlines the scope.
And the prophecy itself.
It makes it clear that fulfilling this promise involves a long detour through hardship, through enslavement before land is possessed. It speaks to a long-term unfolding divine plan, trials included.
So thinking back over our dive today, what really stands out to you? Maybe it was Abram's belief, holding on to faith when things seemed impossible.
Or maybe the sheer strangeness and intensity of that covenant ritual. What did that ancient ceremony signify?
Or perhaps it's the long view, that 400-year prophecy, the promise of eventual return, the sheer scale of it all. Here's a final thought to leave you with, something provocative, perhaps. Remember that detail about the timing of the return?
Yeah, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure.
Right. What does that phrase suggest about how divine timing works in these stories? What does it mean for a people's sins to reach a full measure? And how does that frame our understanding of long-term history and maybe justice in these narratives? Something to ponder.